I'd like to welcome everybody to our December 7th council meeting. I'd like to say happy summer to all our lifeguards. We have an old tradition on the beach. Once 3 or more lifeguards get together, it must be summer. All right, please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing, or our Councilman at Large, Neil Kane, leads us in prayer.
Dear Lord, please continue to watch over our community, keep us safe, keep us healthy, and continue to watch out for one another in times of need. Please, Lord, continue to guide our city leaders, including the mayor, city council, and all of our administrators. May you inspire us and grant us the wisdom in making the right decisions for our community and its well-being. Lord, please continue to watch over those who make our city function and keep it safe. May we continue to give thanks and blessings to our police, fire, public works personnel. We ask this of you, dear Lord. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Our Deputy Mayor Karen Buse sends her love tonight. She's actually at home recovering from knee surgery and wishes she could be here, but I know she's at home watching. All right, Lynn, can you read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
This is to advise the meeting notices covering this meeting have been sent and posted as required under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so I'd like to welcome all of our Beach Patrol members here, and I'd like to welcome all of Dan Driscoll's family here. This is a very special moment. We are so proud of the service that Dan has given to our city. Dan has done 40 years here in the city of Brigantine, 30 of that with the Brigantine Beach Patrol. Let's give him a nice round of applause for that. I can tell you, I had the opportunity and the pleasure to work for Dan. I've known Dan probably close to 25 years now, and he is one of the most honorable people I've ever met. He was a great lieutenant on the Beach Patrol, and I think the thing that I probably respected about him most is he led by example. One of the biggest things on the beach is we always want to get people out, working out, making sure they're staying in shape. And rather than telling people what to do, Dan would run down his zone, pick people up, and get them out there. And I think that's the best kind of leadership you can have. One of the biggest accomplishments I think that we should probably benefit from the most is the Junior Guard program. When Dan Driscoll got involved with the Junior Guard program, I think one of the things he was really good at is getting the senior guys on the Beach Patrol to give back. He got a lot of the senior guys to become invested, to become instructors, and to mentor a lot of the young people who potentially became lifeguards. And right now, up and down the New Jersey coast, a lot of beach patrols are struggling to get lifeguards. It's because of the leadership of Dan Driscoll, our beach patrol, and that Junior Guard program that Brigantine doesn't have that problem. So we're here to commend Dan Driscoll for his 40 years of service to Brigantine. And Dan, can you come up and join me while I read this proclamation? All right, so it says, whereas Lieutenant Dan Driscoll is being honored for having completed his 40th season of employment with the city of Brigantine, 38 of those years on the Brigantine City Beach Patrol. Throughout the years, Dan proved to be a dedicated and hard worker. He became a lifeguard in 1986, rising to the rank of lieutenant in 2000, eventually becoming senior lieutenant in the North Zone in 2006. Earlier in his career, Dan competed as a runner representing the BCBP in numerous out-of-town races. He is a true professional in his job, good-natured, cool under pressure, and friendly with his coworkers and the public. His greatest legacy may revolve around his work with the Junior Lifeguard Program. In the Lifeguard and Training Program, which serves to encourage and develop strong candidates and produce a solid, stable workforce for the Beach Patrol. Whereas Dan will continue to enjoy life with his wife Nicole and their 3 kids, Delaney, Tanner, and Paige, while his contributions to the Beach Patrol and the city of Brigantine will always be appreciated. Now, therefore, I, Vince Sarah, Mayor of the city of Brigantine, on behalf of City Council and the people of the city of Brigantine, do hereby commend and recognize Senior Lieutenant Dan Driscoll for all of his accomplishments and service to the Brigantine Beach Patrol. Dan, thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so this is my hometown. I was born and raised here. It's been my pleasure to be able to give back for 40 years. 1983, I started as a dumping trash as a 14-year-old kid on the beach. All right, watching the lifeguards and thinking I want to do that instead. So that's how I rose up to that. And the whole being able to do it for 40 years, I couldn't obviously do it without my family being my biggest supporters. A lot of hours we had to put in. And they stood by my side and allowed me to do that all these years. Countless people to thank besides the city itself. Some of my coworkers here tonight made the job so much fun and such a pleasure to do. The Captain King, Chief Gunther, Chief Emig, and all the mayors and councilmen over the 40 years. It's been my pleasure to serve you, and it's been such a good thing to be able to come back here in the summer to my hometown and be able to spend some time here. I haven't lived here in over 20 years. So, and I look forward to doing that again. You'll be seeing me around this summer, I'm sure. So thank you again, Mayor and Council.
I'd like to call Lieutenant J.R. Henry up for a presentation.
I would like to thank everybody for showing up this evening. Council, thank you for giving us the time. Chiefs, John, Jim, thank you very much. Mayor Sarah, thank you for giving us and allowing us this time. As the proclamation read, Dan was a runner, so it took some time and effort to find a picture with him in a boat. We found the only one, not in a boat, but actually getting ready to jump from a boat. The boat was coming towards him when he was in a lifeguard stand. And he gets on the edge of the lifeguard stand. It's tough to see with the small print, but I'll leave it up here. Maybe you can take a look at it. And he's getting ready to jump. He doesn't jump because right below him is water. Dan was a runner. He wasn't in a lifeguard boat and he wasn't in the ocean a whole lot, but man, he could run. But I personally wanted to thank him for introducing Brigantine to the lifeguard and training program. Dan came to me when I was still in the stand at 15th Street, and he asked me if I wanted to, like Vince said, give back and start a program which would be a little more strenuous, a little more in detail than what the junior lifeguard program, offers here in Brigantine. We went up to LBI. We observed what they did up there for years, and Dan brought it back down here to Brigantine. They had numerous competitions up in LBI where the kids would compete. Macy Clem was one of the ones who was up in LBI competing. I remember very well young Dennis Haney, not this Dennis, DJ Haney, competing in a tournament and doing exceptionally well. They used to give a team award at this event, and they stopped doing that because Brigantine started to win it so much. And LBI was not happy at all at giving their own home trophy away to Brigantine. So they stopped doing that because of Dan. Another thing he has to be proud of. But Dan, congratulations and thank you very much.
I'd like to thank everybody coming out. I always love seeing our Beach Patrol friends and family here at council chambers. At this time, we're going to retire to executive session. Lynn, can you read the executive session?
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. And whereas the governing body wishes to discuss matter of personnel.
Yeah, first.
Okay. Minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore it be resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
All right, can we have a motion second?
I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, we're going to retire to executive session. We should be back in about 5-10 minutes. All right, can we have a motion and second to resume from executive session?
I'll make that.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, we'll resume. Fred, can you summarize?
Executive session, Mayor and Council discussing personnel matter. This is an ongoing matter, no action is taken.
Yeah, I can't hear you. Is there anything we can do to turn it up or just talk closer into the mic? All right, so one of the things I would ask is if people could talk closer into the mic. It is very hard to hear in the room tonight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. If you'd like me to revisit that,
I would, please.
this was a personnel matter. No action was taken. It is an ongoing matter, and additional information will be made available to the public when the matter is concluded and action of some sort is resolved.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, next up, we have approval of our November 2nd council meeting and executive session minutes. We have a motion and second.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We need our approval of our requisition list, operating expenses and payroll. We have a motion and second.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next up, we have public comment. This is public comment on agenda items only. If you wish to speak about anything on the agenda, please state your name, come up and state your name and address it's for agenda items only. All right, seeing none, we're going to close the public comment. Next up, we have ordinance number 18 of 2022. This is a public hearing and adoption, and this is for the cancellation balance of old improvement authorizations. This is in the amount of $44,061.22, and the cancellation of $4,391.28, and these were not needed for their original purpose. Can we have a motion and second?
I'll make that motion. Second.
At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing. Any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have ordinance number 19 of 2022, and this is an introduction. And this is a bond ordinance providing for Phase 2 of the Lighthouse District Streetscaping Improvement Project in and by the city of Brigantine in the county of Atlantic, New Jersey, appropriating $328,410 in proceeds of obligation not needed for the original purpose, and additional $200,000 thereof, and authorizing the issuance of $190,000 of a $190,000 bond or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I'd just like to say, Mayor, it's good to see this moving along. The first phase went very well. Essentially, I'd say mirroring the great progress was made down in the Center City area a few years back. So it's just good to see everything moving forward.
Perfect, thank you. All right, if there's no other comments, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance number 20 of 2022, and this is also an introduction. This is a bond ordinance providing for the North End Beach replenishment in and by the city of Brigantine in the county of Atlantic, New Jersey, appropriating $983,000 thereof, and authorizing the issuance of $933,850 bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof. Questions or comments? Or sorry, can we have a motion second? Sorry.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Second, any questions or comments? I know for me, I'm very, very happy to have the partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers to move forward to get that beach replenishment. If you look out at that beach, it's about as small as it's going to get before it starts getting into the seawalls there and into the streets. So we're happy to be able to work with them. Can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance number 21 of 2022, and this is an introduction, and this is amending the water and sewer rates. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
One of the major reasons the city needs to start to look at the water rates right now has to do with the new state regulations that have come down on all municipalities, which are requiring, municipalities to upgrade all of their water systems. They've taken the galvanized steel and said that it's a potential lead hazard and that all municipalities in the state of New Jersey need to correct that. In Brigantine, estimated cost right now is it's somewhere between $50 and $60 million to do that project. We are actively looking for state funding. We are actively looking for grants, but I will tell you, the state put this mandate out. I don't think they fully understand it, and I don't think they fully understood what the cost would be to municipalities. So we're looking to change the rates right now to help to start cover the cost of that. The city has 10 years to do the upgrades when it comes to our water replacement, our water pipe replacement here in the city. We are going to be phasing this in. If we're able to receive grant money or money from the state, we won't do the later phase-ins. But for now, this is the first step in building up the capital we need here in the city to meet that state mandate. Any questions or comments from council?
I'd just like to make a comment. It's unfortunate the state has done what they've done with the water and sewer. I know we've done an excellent job many, many years now, holding on to our water and sewer, not having to sell it off like many other municipalities have to American Water. And it seems when it's sold off to American Water, they start to pay astronomical money. I mean, I was dealing with people down in Ocean City and they were paying $120 a month for water. So
Went up 300%. So
300% some municipalities are water, so we'll work through this.
Perfect, thank you. If there's no other comments, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have ordinance number 22 of 2022, and this is an introduction. And this is amending our fee ordinance. I think one of the major things we were trying to do is take all of the different ordinances that look at fees and condense them down into one fee ordinance to make things more efficient. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I guess I have one question too. With all the numbers and stuff in here, have these numbers been reviewed and they're all up to date with current numbers?
Yes, Mayor. We both went through it several times to make sure that we were up to date. We did catch one with the beach tags. That's been corrected.
All right, perfect. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance number 23 of 2022, and this is an introduction, and this is an ordinance of the city of Brigantine, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, mandating replacement of lead service lines. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Any questions or comments from council?
Vince, can you talk a little bit about it, about what it entails, the
Yeah.
lines and why?
I guess to follow up on our last discussion, this is the ordinance that we're required to pass, which starts to set in motion the city's plan in order to address these potential lead service lines. This is mandated by the state. We will have a 10-year period in order which to complete this. We're going to break it up in phases over those 10 years. The first phases we're going to start in has to do with the A zones. One of the reasons we're starting in the A zone is most of the infrastructure in the city is in the alleyways, and we figured this would be the least intrusive. our responsibility from the city is to the curb. It is the homeowner's responsibility from the curb to the home. One of the things the state has done is they've kind of mandated that if homeowners don't do it and people have an opportunity to do this and prove to the city that it's been done, there's a process for that. If the homeowners do not do it, the city will be required to come in and do it and make those changes. We encourage people, if you have the issues with the lead pipes, it's much cheaper if you do it yourselves. If we have to do it as a municipality, we have to pay prevailing wage, which is sometimes 2 to 3 times higher than what you would need to do. What would happen is there would be a special assessment that would go back against the homeowner, and then the homeowner would have a period of time to pay that special assessment off. One of the things I want to reiterate, this is not a city of Brigantine mandate. This is a state mandate that every municipality in the state of New Jersey is required to follow. And we have no choice but to follow that state mandate. So we're doing everything in our power to keep those costs under control and to make sure that we work with the homeowners and the taxpayers of Brigantine. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon? Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-224, and this is a resolution of the City of Brigantine, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, requesting approval of items of insertion of a special item of revenue, authorizing an amendment to the 2022 adopted budget. And this is in the amount of $261,640 from the State of New Jersey NJDOT 2023 Municipal Aid Fund. And this is for 44th Street and 44th Street Cove from Brigantine Avenue to Bayshore Avenue. And this is phase 2 of that project. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
One of the things Brigantine does is we aggressively go after grants. We try to make sure that we can get as much state and federal money in here to offset the cost of projects, to make sure that we get the best possible deal for the taxpayers, and also to make sure that we keep taxes here under control. This is a grant that we went after, we were awarded, and what that will do is allow us to offset the cost of that project. There's no further questions. Can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-225, and this is amending the City of Brigantine 2022 year municipal budget by the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation from the Federal American Rescue Plan. This is in the amount of $26,000, and this will be for, it's a firefighters grant, and this is for turnout gear within the fire department. We have a motion and second.
Second.
Chief, anything you want to add to this?
Simply, this grant will help us purchase new turnout gear, which only has a 10-year lifespan. So this will help put us on a plan to try and replace gear before it reaches that expiration date, versus having to do it all at once, which is much better to spread out every year than all at once.
So perfect. So one of the things you're starting to do, I guess, is one, go after grant money, but two, build the budget within the fire department to kind of cycle out the older gear so it doesn't all go out at once.
That's correct.
Okay.
Currently, our turnout gear was all purchased on a previous grant, which is great, but problem is then all of the gear expires at the same time. So grants like this will help offset those costs to have to put out large sums of money to replace it all at one time.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-226, and this is amending the City of Brigantine 2022 year municipal budget by the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriations from the County of Atlantic for a drive sober or get pulled over holiday grant. This is in the amount of $2,800. We have a motion and second.
Second.
Chief Casamento, anything you want to add about this?
This is a, a common grant that we get from the state. It allows additional officers, their only job is to go out there and enforce impaired driving during the holidays. You know, there's obviously a rise during the holidays, and this grant helps staff extra officers to keep the impaired drivers off the street.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-227, and this is an extension of the existing contract to Dorn Engineering to be paid by South Jersey Gas for inspection services. Can we have a motion and second?
I'll make that move.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-228, and this is the 2023 City Council meeting dates. We have a motion and second.
So move.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-229, and this is a resolution of the City of Brigantine for our 2023 official newspapers, which are the Atlantic City Press, Philadelphia Inquirer, and Brigantine Times. Can we have a motion and second?
So move.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-230, and this is our 2023 designation of official banks. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-231, and this is a real estate tax exemption refunds. We have a motion and second.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-232, and this is a resolution of the City of Brigantine, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing execution of a contract with Jobs for Blue for coordination of off-duty employment of police officers. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Chief Casamento, can you give us a little information on this?
So this is a company we already use for our scheduling programming. And it's an offshoot of that where they manage when a company, you know, like the big electric company project that we had, when a company comes in and needs officers every day, day after day, they'll actually coordinate all that. Very little or no cost to the city because they add like an administrative fee to the cost of the project, and they do all the legwork. They coordinate, you know, which officers are going to be out there, and they take care of it. The new CFO was very familiar with it because from Ventnor, and so it was a good time to take that on. I don't know if he wants to say a little more about it.
Well, I just like to say that it's zero. So that's.
That sounds good. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-233. And this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Brigantine appointing Albert Stanley as our Chief Financial Officer as of December 7th, 2022. We have a motion second.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments from council? No, Albert, I'd like to officially welcome you to the city. We're very happy to have you here.
Big shoes to fill.
You got very big shoes to fill. Roxanne was one of the best CFOs in the state of New Jersey. All right, so if there's no questions or comments, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-234, and this is authorizing Police Department to participate in the Defense Logic Agency Law Enforcement Support Officers. And this is to acquire excess Department of Defense equipment. Can we have a motion and second?
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-235, and this is a resolution of the City of Brigantine, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, fixing the rate of interest to be charged on delinquent taxes and setting the grace period. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-236, and this is a CER refund. We have a motion and second.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-237, and this is a final work change order number 1, which is the final for the rehabilitation of the skate park. And this is a net decrease of $9,676.59. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next up, we have our consent agenda, and this is for a VFW raffle license number 985, Brigantine Elks Lodge raffle license number 9, Holy Spirit Swim Team. Request. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next up, we have our council manager and committee discussions. Start off with our city manager.
Mayor, if I could ask for a 5-minute recess, John and I want to double check our audio settings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, can we take a 5-minute recess at this time? Can we have a motion and second?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Behavior, but sorry to hear that. Should have got out while you could out. Too late now. You're going to do fantastic.
One here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can I hear that?
My parents used to do before they hit me. Give me a chance to run. My dad would count down. I'm like, I'm going. Good to see you. Good to see you.
I know.
I'd like to make a motion to resume the meeting. We have a motion second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, seeing none, we're going to resume the meeting. One of the things we wanted to try to address is fix the microphone system so that way you guys can hear. I believe it's much louder now. You guys can hear better? That's all right, perfect. That's what we wanted to make sure. All right, so I'm loud. One of the things I'd like to ask for everyone else, make sure that you speak directly into the microphone. They are directional microphones, and if you're off to the side or sitting back, the comment doesn't come through, and we want to make sure people are able to hear us. All right, so next up, we have our council manager committee discussions. Jim, anything else?
No further updates, Mayor.
All right, I'll send it over here. Anything from Public Works or our chiefs?
I just wanted to say that we had a great turnout at the tree lighting ceremony. And I just wanted to thank everybody that, and very nice.
Thank you very much. It was an amazing event. I really appreciate all the effort that you and your department put into there, as well as everyone else. And I also wanted to comment on how, received a lot of comments on how nice the lights looked around City Hall this year, so thank you. And I know the lighthouse, you guys did a great job, especially putting the colored lights out there, so thank you very much. Okay. So we'll start off with Councilman Paul Lettieri.
Well, I have nothing really except I echo the mayor's sentiment on your,
Talking to the microphone.
I echo the mayor's sentiment on your Christmas decorations. Thank you.
Go over to Councilman Dennis Haney.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Once again, congratulations to Lieutenant Dan Driscoll, 40 years. That's quite the longevity. That's amazing. So tip of the cap to him and wish him as many years as he wants to stay there. He's never quite going to catch up to
Morel.
Morel. Yeah. But hey, he'll be right on his tail for as long as possible. Moving along, last farmer's market was on November 19th. It was a little bit of a chilly day, but heard it went pretty well. I knew a few people who said they were going. I didn't get a chance to speak to them, but looking forward to, I know Karen always speaks on that. Unfortunately, she's not here today, but it's always a great time. The turnout's amazing there. So come springtime, we look forward to that starting back up. Hope everybody had a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. Our meetings have been a little truncated lately, so just catching up on a few things. I want to piggyback on John's comments on the tree lighting. It was a great turnout. It's always good to see everybody there and have a chance to just chit chat with the people there. It's just a nice, beautiful community. The windmill meeting, the windmill open house, I should say. Our committee's in continual conversation. I will defer to Mayor Sura on that commentary so that everything just remains cohesive. There was in the third ward, there was a serious indictable crime incident that occurred, but I want to say, I know it's their job and they do it very well, but I want to say thank you to our police department for handling that very effectively, and safety was restored. And I've been in communication with a few of the residents in that area, and I plan on following up again. And lastly, and certainly not leastly, today is December 7th, and it was 81 years ago, Pearl Harbor, when 2,335 servicemen lost their lives. In total, there was 2,403 people, including civilians, 1,117 brave men and women lost their lives in the USS Arizona. And it's just a very solemn day. And I just always keep those brave men and women, all of them, rest in peace. And I just wanted to make note of that. It was 81 years ago today. So there's not too many there. There was just a handful of people there. I saw the story shortly before I came to council here today. The numbers dwindle and dwindle. They say the age for a Navy enlisted man at that time was 17 years old. So even any 17-year-olds who were at Pearl Harbor would be 98 years old today. I'll just relate one story I saw that I've seen this gentleman interviewed on TV before. He's 102 years old. His name is Ira Shab. He was part of his details. He was one of the bands, and he ended up being had to be a gunner's mate. And to hear the gentleman tell his story, he was there. He was there at Pearl Harbor today. It's pretty amazing just to hear someone firsthand recall those events. So God bless all those men and women, and thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll kick it over to Councilman Neil Kane.
I don't have a whole lot. Looks like they finally finished up. Oh, sorry. Sorry, boss. Looks like they finally finished up all the work for the water tower in the north end, which is good. Also, looks like Atlantic Electric still replacing poles throughout the island, which is needed. Some of them were completely rotted. I want to congratulate Alan, your new job. Congratulations, you're going to do absolutely fantastic. And I want to apologize for not being able to make the tree lighting ceremony. I was out of state for my son's ice hockey. So, but other than that, that's all I've got. So thank you.
And just remember, family always comes first. You know, we all serve this committee, but in this community, but the most important thing and place we can't be replaced is with our family. I kick it over to Councilman Mike Reardon.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight on this nice night here in Brigantine. It's always a nice night in Brigantine, right? But we have an exceptional crowd here this morning or this evening, I'm sorry. And so obviously we want to talk about some other things. So I'm just going to say I look forward to working with the committees, the Cultural Arts Committee in the new year, the Economic Development Committee. We have plenty going on, but right now I'm going to just say thanks for coming out. Listen, if there's any questions or if I can help in any matter, My number's on the front page of the Brigantine Times at the bottom of the paper. You can call me anytime. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. One of the things I'd like to bring up and start off with is we've had a number of requests from people in the community about updating our, I guess, holiday decorations here in the city. I know this is something we started to look into and get some prices on. They were quite expensive, but I want to see if the Economic Development Committee can start to work on a plan to at least start to phase them in, maybe starting with the business districts or some areas. I know Public Works has already looked into some of the cost and price of that, but I think it's time we start to update those decorations.
I agree 100%. I look forward to work with John Doring and the rest of the committee on it.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to take an opportunity. I know a couple people here, obviously one for the audit and two also for the Atlantic Shores and the Ocean Windmill. We'll be addressing both of those issues. First, to start off with the audit. I want to say that Brigantine takes its commitment to its residents and its employees very seriously and focuses on managing its operations efficiently, responsibly, and with the utmost integrity and transparency. We fully cooperated with the audit and also provided a formal response to their initial findings and recommendations. Many of the areas identified have already been addressed and still others are in the process. While we are always looking at opportunities for continuous improvement and will embrace the relevant suggestions, we also want everyone to know that we take a lot of pride in the exceptional services provided by our city to our residents and to our visitors. I want to give people a little bit of background on the State Comptroller's Office and what their purpose is. The purpose of the State Comptroller's Office is to work with municipalities to make recommendations that will help towns run more efficiently. I want people to understand that this is not an adversarial relationship. It's more of a partnership, and we look forward to working with them. Now, we're not going to go through every specific detail of the report. If people have questions, obviously, we will be more than happy to answer questions, but there's a few areas that I think need specific clarification. First and foremost, there are no plans for taxes to go up as a direct result of anything in this report. And I want to say that again because I think that's important for people to hear. There are no plans for taxes to go up as a direct result of anything in this report. I'm going to start off here with the Beach Patrol pension. The numbers provided in the audit do not represent a realistic picture of the actual cost to the city. We have already started to work with the Beach Patrol long before this audit started to work on and address the long-term health of their pension plan. Together, we have already taken steps to address some of the concerns and challenges of that plan. Also, as a side note, I think it's important for people to know, I've talked to a number of mayors and elected officials in South Jersey communities. Almost every South Jersey beach town is facing similar issues resulting from the guiding state regulations. What I want people to understand is this pension is not a City of Brigantine pension. It is set up and mandated by the state of New Jersey. It is required by state law. One of the challenges of this is when the state law was written in the 1980s, it only required a 4% contribution from its members. All other state pensions in the state of New Jersey have amended and changed to bring up their employee contributions somewhere between 8 and 10%. And that's something that needs to be addressed with the state of New Jersey to change that. I know Senator Sweeney a few years back introduced legislation in order to start to make some changes and corrections to these Beach Patrol pension systems. Never went anywhere. He got it introduced in the Senate. There was never anything introduced in the Assembly in order to move it forward. So this is an issue we are still working on with the Beach Patrol. For us, as I said, the state needs to update their guiding regulations to be more in line with other state pensions. For the state insurance, we are confident our plan offers the best benefits to employees along with the greatest value to the taxpayers. We respectfully disagree with the state's health insurance saving calculations and have responded as such with the additional criteria that we believe should have been included in order to look at a true apples to apples comparison of the coastal HIF we have along with the state health benefits program. With the calculations that the state or the comptroller uses, They do not fully take into account the collective bargaining agreements that we have here in the city. They also do not take into account the surplus and dividend that the city receives as part of being in that coastal HIF program. Now, we respect that the state wants everybody in the state program, but one of the major issues with the state plan is the volatility and unpredictability of it. For 2023, the state health benefits program had a more than 20% increase to their premium costs. One of the major changes that was added was that employees pay less while taxpayers pay more. So I want you to think about this. The state is saying that this is the best plan. In this changes that was put out by Governor Murphy and negotiated by Governor Murphy, one of the major changes is that employees pay less while the taxpayers pay more. I have a letter from Mayor Paul Hodson of Egg Harbor Township. He wrote a letter to the governor talking about his frustration and all the frustrations of the mayors in Atlantic County about these changes. And one of the things he talks about is the negative impacts that the change is going to have on the taxpayers, as well as the huge cost increase, what it's going to mean for people's budgets. This has been sent on behalf of all of us here in Atlantic County to talk about the issues with the state healthcare program. I want to give a comparison. If you look at 2023, our coastal HIF versus the state's Direct 10, the coastal HIF is cheaper by more than $200,000. That is a significant savings to the taxpayers of Brigantine. So we stand behind the fact that the coastal HIF is the best deal for the taxpayers here in Brigantine. When you talk about nepotism, we have put additional measures in place to ensure a fair and equitable workplace. That being said, we are in full support of our employees and are confident that the right people are in the right positions. We stand behind the job that they do, and we are very, very proud of them. For overtime, we agree with the findings and suggest tighter measures on recording overtime reasons and have already instituted incremental controls, including a review of all forms by our head of human resources. Again, our goal is continuous improvement, and we look forward to working with the state to further review and implement the recommended policies and procedures. One of the things we want to do to take it a step further, I would like the city of Brigantine to hire an outside HR consultant to come in and further review our policies, our procedures and policies to make recommendations for improvements. And I think that this is something that should be done in the coming year, as well as every couple of years, to make sure that we stay on top of all of the things we need to do here in Brigantine. For Atlantic Shores, as a follow-up to Brigantine's formal presentation in August on the Atlantic Shores Ocean Wind Project, Atlantic Shores held an open house last weekend to give members of the community an opportunity to ask questions and to learn more about their projects. We've received a lot of mixed reviews about their presentation. Some residents were happy with the answers and information they received, but many were not. Brigantine will host a more formal meeting later in January to early February. Atlantic Shores and Congressman Van Drew have already confirmed that they will attend and speak at the event. A number of people have asked if Brigantine gave the approval for this project. Brigantine has given no approvals for this project. This project is being pushed on us by the governor and by the President of the United States. Brigantine has no say over this project whatsoever. There are some people who would like to dismiss that statement as being a partisan attack. This has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with letting people know who the real decision makers are when it comes to these ocean wind projects. I want to let everybody know that there is a citizens group that is currently forming. There is a person who is now going to take the lead of it, as well as some people that are here in this room. They're going to be exploring potential legal action that the community can take to stop this project. We will have more information on this as it becomes available. Now, for a second, I want to speak for me. You know, I'm involved here with the Windmill Committee. I'm involved here with council. but I want to share my personal thoughts. Everyone here on council is entitled to their own opinion on this. The Windmill Committee is entitled to its own opinion. So right now, I'm speaking for myself. I've had the opportunity to study these windmills for more than 2 years now. Here's my assessment. These ocean wind projects are too rushed, too close to shore, and potentially could have some very negative impacts on the environment and the economies of our local community. The president and the federal government needs to slow this way down and take a better look at the total and full implications of this project before it's too late. Once these projects are constructed, once the damage is done, it's going to be way too late. Right now, Brigantine is leading the charge in Atlantic County to getting information, getting people involved, and making sure that people fully understand the implication of these projects. What's funny is when I have conversations with people and they kind of seem on board with the projects, when I start to show them what they actually look like, when I start to explain to them the impact they're going to have on the environment, they immediately turn around and no longer support them. One of the things is that when it comes to these ocean wind projects and these wind turbines, people have the assumption that they work very much like solar panels, where they're going to make the cost of electricity cheaper. That is not true. Atlantic Shores and Ørsted will both tell you that. 60 Minutes did an excellent show, and they showed what these did in England. And on 60 Minutes, they said it doubled the electric cost for the people of England. So you're going to have more expensive energy, and it really may have no impact on lessening our carbon footprint here in the world. One of the other biggest challenges, these things have about a 20 to 25 year lifespan. What happens to them after that? And the reality is the way that technology is changing. It is very possible that the technology we need to better generate more cleaner, efficient energy will exist and outdate these windmills before they've outlived their life expectancy. And we, the people of Brigantine, and the people of Atlantic County, and the people of South Jersey are going to be stuck with them. It's time for us to take more dramatic steps and more dramatic answers. One, to get answers and to make sure that the voices of the people of Brigantine and South Jersey are heard. I've had very long conversations with Congressman Van Drew. He's going to speak at our meeting, and he's going to let people know about the congressional remedies that we can take. But now is the time for us as a people and as a community to take action. All right, this time I'd like to open it up for public comment. Please state your name and address for the record. Yeah, Tom, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Jones, 208 Fifth Street North. I'm very happy to hear everything you just said. I believe that you are solidly against the windmills. I would just like to follow up and ask, what are we actually going to do, or what are we doing? Have we filed a lawsuit yet? Are we going to? And not only that, but what can we, the citizens, do?
So
to
looking
help?
at, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. I was going to say, looking at LBI's model, one of the things they did up there is to form a citizens group who was able to take that legal action. And we have citizens now that are willing to form that group. They are in contact and connections with attorneys, and they are exploring the best possible legal remedy for this situation. One of the things I want to say is every lawsuit that has to do with proximity and like line of sight and view has failed. Any lawsuit that is filed has to show a real environmental harm or a real harm to people. And that's something that I've seen just in my research.
Who are these people? Can I get connected with them? Can
Yeah,
he get
so
Connected with them?
they will be having a meeting real soon. I will make sure that they have your contact information, and it'll be coming out really soon. I don't want to state their name in a public meeting. I'm going to give them the opportunity to come forward, but they've asked me to forward them the contact information of anyone who is interested in being involved, and I do have your contact information, and they will be reaching out to set up their first meeting.
All right, very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Can I just say something about one of Tom's comments there, Mayor? Correct me if I'm wrong. As far as Tom just stated, that you're against the windmills. I don't think we've taken an official stance as a city that we're against the windmills. We just have a lot of questions that we want answered. That we've stated some of the things going on. Am I okay to say that, Mayor?
So I would say this, when I will speak for me, I will allow every member of council to make up their own mind. And I don't want to jackpot anybody with taking a vote tonight. My statements tonight, and I want to reiterate, these are happening too fast. They're too close to shore, and they could have major potential impacts to our economy and to the environment. And we cannot allow this to go forward unanswered.
Without the unanswered with the questions and the speed of delivery and everything that.
Well, as I said, I think the federal government and the president and the governor need to slow this way down. You saw, like you look at the answers, any meeting I've attended, any hard questions that have been asked of any windmill company have been dodged. 2 years of dodging questions. And I will tell you, I have a fantastic relationship with them. I can pick up the phone and talk to people in both companies at any time. They will share any information that I asked. I have that relationship. But through that time, I have seen nothing that makes me believe that this is good for Brigantine, good for South Jersey, good for the environment. And I put the burden on them to prove to us that there is a benefit to our community. And I don't see that. So part of the meeting that we're going to have is, one, we're going to have Van Drew speak. We're going to give them the opportunity to prove to us in a more formal setting. I'm also going to invite Bob Stearns to come down so we can hear what he has to say and his what's going on up there and the success they're having. I also am going to have representatives from that citizens group there speaking, one, to help organize, and two, to give people a more formal update of where they stand and what we need to do as a community to move forward.
So if I could just reiterate a little bit, our biggest concerns, somebody say no? Our biggest concerns are the environment and its impact on Brigantine, the fish, the birds, the whales. Our aquifer and our water supply is 8 miles off the coast here. You're talking about 1,000 to 1,400 foot windmill as big as the Empire State Building and Eiffel Tower. A third larger, or Ocean's Casino is 700 feet high. So you're putting these towers out in the ocean close to our coast. How far down are they getting anchored? Are they going to affect our water system? We have so many questions we want answered before we agree to anything. And not that it would matter if we agree or not, like you said, but so I agree with you 100%, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes, Mr. Phillips. That's okay, no worries. Take your time.
Jim Koya, 305 20th Street. I want to thank the police department and specifically DS Glazier for his teamwork that he put together, the communication to our neighbors that dealt with the situation that we spoke about earlier today. It was very difficult, 2 houses away from that situation, and they did a great job and effectively communicated to us as best they possibly could in that respect. So I just want to call that out. I thought that was, he in particular did a great job. 1. 2, I want to thank the town for supporting the meeting this past Saturday, which was outstanding and very informative. And it was great to see the turnout in the community. It was, in some respect, the incident that happened in our neighborhood was very similar to the dialogue and the communication that happened at that meeting. And again, I think it's impactful and important that the police community, the police department, and the community in full are supportive of those kinds of issues when in fact they actually happened in our community just 2 weeks ago. So thank you.
I'm sorry, could you say your last name again? I didn't catch.
Koya, COIA.
Thank you.
So I have a couple other questions about the budget. You brought up a $50 to $60 million possible expense for a 10-year program. I don't know anything about budgets and how you guys figure this out. Do you get grants? Do you get funds? But that sounds like $10 million a year spread out, and it's a little, nerve-wracking. 5 million, depends on how that all works out. But I know you're raising, because I just got the information on water and sewer to raise funds, but it can't be that big. I mean, what are you going to have? 10, 15, 20, $30 per household? It doesn't add up to a lot. So how do we look at that, and what's the anticipated revenue gain on the increase in the sewer and water? What is that? How much is it? Is it a number? Is it $50,000 per year, or is it $5,000?
Well, I think part of what you're looking at is the project would be bonded. So what we're raising is the money to cover the bond payments. It's not something that the taxpayers would pay all at once, but it would be bonded. And you are correct. One of the things we are looking at is federal and state money to offset those costs, which is part of the reason we're looking to do a phase-in. If we got no money, we're doing a phase-in every 3 years for the next 10 years. We'll have to phase in an increase in order to cover the cost.
Right.
We didn't want to put all of the money up front because if we get the bond money or we get the grant money or state money, it offsets that. If we don't need it, we don't want to use it, and we don't want to hit people all at once. So that's what we're doing, is phasing this in.
So is it a full bond and grant or partial? Do you end up having situations like this magnitude fully funded, or do we end up paying for parts?
So here's the tricky part of this, right? Anytime you're dealing with the state of New Jersey, they do things and then figure it out. So what we need to do is tread the line between actively moving forward enough to satisfy what the state's asking without fully doing it. Because say we fully did the project and fully paid for it and money became available, we wouldn't be eligible.
Right. So we just took a $12 million bond out for 6 years to do the towers and maintenance?
That is correct. Yeah.
So when do we start to pay that?
So I'll have to turn that over to our CFO.
Right? Because that's a $12 million project, and now this
And that-
would be a $50
So we had debt that was falling off. So I can tell you part of this. One of the things we try to do here in the city of Brigantine is manage debt. And what we look at is long-term debt cycles. As debt falls off, what we do is replace that debt with new debt. So the impact to the taxpayers is almost nothing.
So then where does the $4.5 million come into this? That is the pension shortfall for.
So that number is actually not a realistic depiction of what the actual costs are for the pension.
So the actuary that was used to forecast that number wasn't properly processed, thought
So
about?
what they look at is a worst case scenario is if every lifeguard retired tomorrow. The reality is that not every lifeguard makes it to pension age. And if they don't make it to full pension age, they actually don't qualify for the pension.
Right, it's 20 years, you get the pension, then they get paid.
And
And age 45, not
And age
20 years.
45.
So
Okay, I'm way past that. Okay. Okay, so these are things that I think are important that we keep open and discuss. Because these are big numbers, very big numbers. And, I know the sick and leave and healthcare benefits were issues on the report. Health insurance savings was an opportunity. And then there was an issue that why haven't we come back now that the Atlantic County court system is in place? Possibility, I think the number was we spend 180 and we thought there was $100,000 savings. All those nickels and dimes add up. And I think that it's great that we're able to keep the taxes low, but there's a lot, it looks like there's a lot in front of us right now that is making me as a full-time resident very nervous. So appreciate your time and effort. Have a great evening.
no, we appreciate it. Thank you for your comments.
Matt Finnegan from 107 24th Street South. A couple questions. I'm a physician, so naturally I'd like to know, has anybody commissioned a study on the lead poisoning from Brigantine? And secondly, how many people have died of lead poisoning in the city of Brigantine in the last 10 years? I mean, I just wonder, where's the state coming up with this data? Do we have to accept all what they say face value? Can we say to them, have you studied this? Have you studied it here? I know a lot about lead poisoning, took care of a lot of patients with it for years, so I'm well aware of it, but I don't see people with anemias coming from Brigantine. We don't have a file of them in Atlantic Care. So I think it's on false premises and obviously another corrupt state of New Jersey project. But that said, I'm not really here to talk about that, but I find it funny that they would tell you this. And because how many, I mean, I know Gary Warner and a lot of other builders. I mean, half the houses on are brand new with brand new pipes. So, and I don't know what the pipes are in the main alleys. We're on an alley, but certainly we should know, right? We know when they were put in and what they're made of. So I would just be curious.
John, what was the year? I forget. Is it 1987? Yeah, anything built prior to 1987 probably has the galvanized. Anything post that is probably fine. What the city had to do is actually, we're still in the process of this, is go through and test all the lines to see which ones need to be updated. And then we'll notify, we either have or will notify the homeowners of those changes.
So I guess we have to figure out whether we have lead coming from the alley to our house or not.
So with the main pipes, yeah, we're starting with the alleys and we're going to start in the A zone and start to replace that. And you're right, the state probably should have studied this before they did it. They should have done a feasibility and economic study before they did it, but they didn't. Me personally, I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to Flint, Michigan, and I think they're just looking for something to stand on. I don't think they realized the cost to like major cities here in New Jersey. I mean, it could be hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah.
So I want to get on the real topic. I'm here, and that's the windmills. A lot of people are here with me. We have a huge number of people all through town. You can't go to a bar in town and not talk about it. But a couple questions for you. I know there's some resistance to coming out against, the state and federal government, because who knows, the FBI will be investigating you tomorrow. But hey, we can do some things because I've only been researching this for 48 hours, and I already know that Atlantic Shores is commissioning all these researches to tell us what they think about our wildlife, which we all know is going to be a pound of BS and enough information and enough unfactual information to shove out. The fact is, at least we can commission our own study. How much can it cost to get our own mammal stranding people who know more about it than anybody in the room to help us do our own study? I talked to a New York attorney at the gathering, and she was pretty forward about the fact that her past job before kind of semi-retiring to Brigantine at quite a young age, I didn't ask why, but was that she was an environmental attorney for the state of New York. And basically they rubber stamped all of the environmental impact studies and never even looked at them.
Right.
So that's what's really going on. So we're never going to see their true environmental impact studies. So if we don't do some of our own and get the fishermen involved like they did in Block Island and like they did in Martha's Vineyard, well, Obama got rid of that, Kennedy, but the point is that we've got to get some of these folks here that we have to help us with our wooders. We can't compare it to their wooders. We have to show that there's a problem with our wooders. If there's a salamander or a dolphin or something that mates in our wooders, it could really help. And these are the people that'll know. So that's what I think council could do. I know we don't have $1 million to start a lawsuit, although I think we should. But we could start to do some of the impact studies or commission them to be done at a very low cost. These people know the wooders. They probably know what's out there. They know who, just the right whale. I mean, I've read enough about the right whale in 24 hours to sink a ship. But the point is that they cross these wooders and they are not going to be able to get through that maze. Just think of this. I heard one of my partners say, if somebody, a small craft gets caught out in there, how are the Coast Guard going to go through there and turn those ships? How are the helicopters going to get in to rescue those folks? Has anybody asked these simple questions? They're not going to be able to do that.
I was going to say the Coast Guard has major concerns with the very things you're bringing up.
So let's get them involved. There's a lot of good people over there. I mean, there's things, resources that we can use, and you can use your stature to help us get them involved to say, this can't be done for this reason. Move them out. I don't think anybody would care if they're 50 miles out. I'm not going out there, but I don't want our coastline to look like that. And everybody in Brigantine knows that if they put those things up, good luck selling your house. Good luck. And so the revenue stream and everything else right here is going to go down. The taxes are going to have to go up. We're not going to be able to have as many fire and police because we're not going to have the money to support it. So I think we have good reason to move forward. We have the health and welfare issues. We need that environmental impact study more than anything else.
Absolutely.
We're never going to get it from the government, and everybody knows that. It's just not going to happen.
Excuse me, your 5 minutes are up, but can I get your name? I couldn't hear.
Matthew Finnegan.
What's the last name?
Finnegan.
Finnegan.
I
Should
tell you
know
the
that.
story,
It's
but it'd take
sweet.
more than 5 minutes.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Doc.
much, Matt.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Doc, for everything.
Any other public comment?
I think my frustration is that we've been waiting for the environmental groups to show up to help us, and nobody's coming.
Yeah, they're all
'Cause they've
taking a
all been
pass on
paid
this
off.
one.
Yeah, we know.
Hey, Lisa,
Exactly.
how are you?
Lisa Daydone, 5210 Harbor Beach Boulevard. Thank you, Mayor, for everything that you've done with bringing Atlantic Shores in here. I think that they were not organized. They were not able to answer a lot of our technical questions. And when I asked them about recycling the blades, they're like, well, 20 years down the road, we'll have it figured out. Those are answers that we don't want to hear. Also, as far as we understand that there's a windmill committee in Brigantine, we would, if we're possible, we would like to have civilians on that committee. And then also, we would like to get the minutes of the meeting if somebody on the, if we can have a civilian on that committee. And then the lawsuit that we're talking about, is it just going to be the public doing that? Is the town of Brigantine getting involved in it also?
Well, I can tell you the town of Brigantine right now is exploring every option. If you look at what LBI is doing, they're having the citizen group take the lead on any legal action that they take.
Okay.
So we are looking at that. We will be fully supportive of any citizens group that forms here in the city of Brigantine. So we are, every option's on the table.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ready, Mrs. Phillips?
NH Phillips, 308 27th Street. First, I want to tell you, Mayor Sarah, that I appreciate your efforts to keep this community informed about developments, particularly concerning the windmills. And question on that line, is any Down Beach community, municipality interested in this and joining? The more people that get together on this, they have no interest?
They're staying silent. Atlantic City is 100% for them, and they've explained the benefits to their community. All of the Down Beach communities are just silent and don't want to touch the issue. That's very concerning to me.
Yeah,
There's a
that's-
lot of elected officials who want to sit on the sidelines of this. And I'll tell you that honestly, one of the biggest things they're concerned about is this means a lot of union jobs, and they're looking out for themselves. I would tell you, people who have been out in front of this, Congressman Van Drew, Senator Palestina, Assemblywoman Claire Swift, and Assemblyman Don Guardian. They have been out in front of this, active, vocal, and supporting us. We need to get everybody else engaged.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I think it's disgraceful, the other communities, how they are avoiding the issue. And one other question. When the state mandates a project, isn't it responsible for providing the funds? Isn't that the law?
I'm so glad you brought that up. I forgot to comment. It used to be state mandate, state pay. Somewhere in the last decade, they've forgotten that. And I think that's a major issue. If you're going to mandate it, you need to give us the means to take care of it.
Well, is there such a law?
I don't know that there is a specific law, but Fred, is that something you can research, or do you know? All right, perfect. We'll have our legal counsel better reference it.
Okay, and some comments on the audit.
Yes.
By the way, the comments you said, that phrase, the union pays less, taxpayer pays more. The press had an excellent editorial on that, which I commented upon
Yeah.
in terms of where the expenses are and who is calling the shots on this in terms of political power and votes and the unions. Okay. However, I do think the state controller has done us a service by disclosing the lack of adequate and legally required policies and procedures, whether intentionally or because of lack of facts, lack of oversight, or due diligence in the key areas of sick and vacation leave, accumulated leave payments, overtime, lifeguard pensions, and also they do deal with health benefits and the health plan. And I think the health plan does need, probably based on that saying of the union pays less and the taxpayer pays more, might be applicable in that situation. So keep us informed about that. To quote the report, and I thought it was interesting and speaks well of both sides, the city generally agreed with our audit findings and conclusions. So you're not really in an adversarial position. You are working here to try and get things running, smoothly and effectively. However, some negative comments. I think this city government in Brigantine over the years has allowed and tolerated illegal, inefficient, and wasteful practices, all of which have cost the taxpayers more. By law, the comptroller will monitor the implementation of its recommendations, and the city must, within 90 days, provide a plan for corrective action. Some of these things, as you read through this report, I mean, they should be, council should know what's going on. The buck stops with you. You are accountable for the people you hire and for the contracts you approve. And from personal observation over the years and experience, I would ask this council, ask more questions in the future and in public. Have your discussions out here where the people can hear them. That's the essence of transparency, and I think sometimes executive sessions can be used for situations which really should be before the public. But nevertheless, I think there are problems here, and they have been tolerated and allowed, and it doesn't speak well for the governing body. It took a state controller to disclose these practices, and now the question is, we have an auditor, a chief financial officer, heads of departments, a labor attorney, but it took somebody out of state to disclose this information to the public. And I think it's a fair question, and I think you should answer that. And who pays the consequences of what has been done that is really wrong and illegal? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. No, and I think, Mrs. Phillips, I think you are very correct. I think this is a great opportunity for the city to make some changes. And as we said, we fully embrace working with the comptroller's office. And that's why one of the things I had said about having independent HR consultant come in and do routine reviews. And I think it's important to have an outside set of eyes come in and take a look at what we're doing here in the city of Brigantine. And even though that was not a recommendation of the state auditor, going through this audit process opened my eyes to the importance of having someone from the outside take a look at things. And I think that's something that should be a routine practice of what we do here in Brigantine. So as I told you before, I embrace this opportunity. I think, Tom, I think you only get to talk once, though. We are not scheduled first. The Orsted project is about, I'm sorry. Atlantic Shores has its project broken up into 3 phases. Phase 1 starts in Atlantic City, runs through Brigantine into LBI. Phase 2 goes into LBI and north, and phase 3 is just above that. The original design of the land lease area they have, it's almost, I describe it like an upside down ice cream cone. The bulk or the bigger area is off Atlantic City and the southern part of LBI, with it tapering as it goes north. If there's no further public comment, oh, God.
Good evening. Henry Waldron, 314 20th Street, Brigantine. For anybody who's been on the Facebook Brigantine community page, you will see a lot of what I have posted, and I find that a lot of the other people in Brigantine are not happy with what I'm posting regarding the windmills. The main thing I'm trying to do is keep everything factual because there are rumors and conspiracy theories running amok. For example, after the Saturday session, I had people saying they don't know what they're talking about, meaning Atlantic Shores. They don't even know how many windmills are going up. People verbally ask questions. One question ended up being how many windmills are in the first phase or the closest phase, which is somewhere around 100, but it hasn't been finalized. I think it's what, between
It's
100 and 135?
It's 111 with a maximum of 200.
Well, no, the second phase has more, and the combined, those two have 200, the two lower segments.
Phase 1 and phase 2.
Phase 1 and phase 2. So depending on how you ask the question verbally, you might have gotten about 111, but we don't know exactly because it hasn't been finalized. Or you might have gotten 60 or 70 or 90 for the second part, or you might have gotten 200. I have requested that Brigantine come up with formal questions that can be answered formally. If you are opposed to the windmills and you want to find information that can try to deep six the entire project, unless it's in writing, there's deniability because it's a he said, she said with no formal documentation. Second thing, I would like to try and keep everything as factual as possible. I have a lot of experience in this area. 40 and 50 years ago, I was on both sides. Not quite 50 years ago. I was on both sides. I was an industry expert representing the Chemical Manufacturers Association for the Clean Air Act and later for Hazardous Waste Management Act. In the late 1980s and 1990s, I was working as an environmental consultant on the other side for cities. My background isn't law, it's engineering and science. Right now, Atlantic Shores, if you read all the BOEM documents, is involved in numerous very detailed studies that may or may not be concluded. The people who understand what is going on understand what's in those documents. And much of it isn't finalized and won't be finalized. So they're not going to give you an answer on something that they don't yet know what the state and the federal government and the towns and themselves are going to be allowed to do. So I ask formal questions. And the other thing, I would really like to try to keep this whole thing at a professional level. There are some people who are attacking me and I can deal with that. But there are a lot of people who are just treating Atlantic Shores like they're a piece of crap. And that is not a professional way to deal with this. I mean, this process has been going on for them and their predecessors and the state and the federal government for 12 years. There's a lot of people who have come in the last 2 months and sort of like the end of Working Girl, want to disrupt everything because they weren't in it from the start. We got to start from where we are now and work from there forward. You can't go back and undo things that happened 12 years ago. And then the final thing I say is, maybe we can delay and maybe we can delay for a long time. If the project goes through, even if it's delayed, the ratepayers will pick up the additional cost. And the number one driver of cost overruns is time. You got 2 nukes in Georgia. The projects were commissioned as an expansion on a nuclear facility in 2010 with a cost of $14 billion. The first of the 2 is finally getting fueled up now. It's supposed to come online in March. So not 2016 when it was supposed to, 2023. The other one by the end of the summer or early fall. The cost is now $34 billion and counting, and the ratepayers are picking up that incremental $20 billion. That's all. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think you make some good points. One of the things that we as a governing body want to make sure we do is put out accurate and real information. I think part of the issue is that people are scared. People are scared what this means and they don't know what's going on. I know for me, like I've looked at some of the news reports on the issues up in Block Island. A lot of issues with the windmills up in Block Island. The cable itself became unburied. It's still sitting unburied. A number of the turbines no longer function, or I guess I'm going to take that back. A number of the turbines no longer spin with no explanation as to why they're no longer generating power. From what I've read, it looks like the ratepayers in that area are going to have to pay to make those repairs and pay to rebury those lines. So I think when people say there's a lot of unanswered questions, there is a concern. What happens if they fail? Who's responsible if they're damaged? I think they're only rated up to a certain wind speed. And I don't want to quote that wind speed because I don't have it memorized. What if we get a hurricane that's higher than that wind speed? Also, too, the windmills themselves have to generate a certain amount of power to meet their efficiency. What a lot of people don't realize, and I picked it up simply by looking at the pictures, is that there's a number of generators and substations out there that I believe are going to have to generate energy when the wind turbines do not generate energy. And I don't think that that's something that people fully understand about the project. And then what is the impact on that? So I think you're right. We need the facts, we need the information, and we need to make sure we get it from them, from credible research, and also peer-reviewed research. And these are the conversations I've had with representatives from Atlantic Shores to make sure that anything that the city puts out is based on either A, what we fairly believe they shared with us, or B, what is from peer-reviewed research on windmills. One of the challenges we face with windmills is the fact that a lot of the studies that are being done is just on modeling. It's not based on real windmills in real places. And I think that is scary for people because models and computers can be wrong. So I think we want to make sure that what is done works. And that's what we need to get to the bottom of. And that has been the mission of this council since we started this. It's something I'm working with a couple people on to make sure that we get the proper information from peer-reviewed research. Those questions will be asked formally in a document of the windmill companies. It will also be sent to the governor. It will also be sent to the president. It will also be sent to BOEM, and it will also be sent to every relevant elected official in between, because I think it needs to be very, very public what our questions and what our concerns are. And there needs to be a written response so we have a real record from those individuals who either have a say or a vested interest in this that we can share with the public. One of the first things I said to Atlantic Shores after the meeting, because they did show me, they had a lot of questions written down. And they said some of the questions that were asked, they either hadn't thought of or the research doesn't show it yet. And their legal department, and not to defend them, their legal department won't let them talk about anything that's not vetted. I know that dealing with companies. But I ask that those questions be answered in writing and that I have the ability to share that with the public and with all of our elected officials. They gave me that permission. So we're going to wait and see if they actually respond to us in writing with those questions. Because when it's in writing, you have accountability. And that's what we're looking for. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion. Are there any final council comments? All right, seeing none, first of all, I really want to thank everybody for coming out to the meeting tonight. This is how government's supposed to work. People have questions, they have concerns, they're a part of the process. We voice our opinions. Every opinion in this room is respected and valued, and we all appreciate it. So thank you very much. With that being said, can we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you for joining us on our December 7th council meeting and watching your council team at work.